want to sell, but we don't want to lie. So like, how can HR teams make sure that candidates understand the culture and the environment in the interview process?
The biggest thing when you are a recruiter, and I was a recruiter at the beginning of my career, is you want the person to not only, you want them to take the job, but you want them to stay. Because if not, you are going to have to feel another wreck. And so an example of this was at a previous organization, we were hiring someone to help our CEO. And my mind frame was to convince people why they did not want the job. That is how I went into the interview, because I wanted them to understand what they were getting into. It was going to be long nights. It was going to be weekends. Like, it was going to be all the things that I personally would never do. But I wanted them to know. So that the whole interview process was around me trying to convince this person why you would not want this job. And the last person standing was the person that, convinced me that like they knew what they were getting into and they still wanted the job. So I think like keep that in mind. Like, explain to people what is really going to happen. Do not tell them that it's a flexible environment and all of these things, and then they get there and they're afraid to ask for a PTO. Like, tell them what is really going on. And that's why at our Fine Labs, we have a culture playbook, because I wanted people to understand the true culture. Like, it is a hustle culture. And if that is not something you want to do, this is not the right company for you.
Yeah, we do the same thing at Workweek, honestly, where we have our vision and our operating principles, which are beautiful, that tell you like our values, like what we value, and then our operating principles, like how we want to do our work. But then also in every interview, I talk about, when I talk to candidates directly, I tell them like, this is a pre-seed startup. Like, It's a very different experience than a established company. This is not the Facebook, Google, and Amazon. Like, this is we don't have processes and we are still building them as we grow and scale an organization. But I think a lot of recruiting teams sometimes are afraid to be that honest.
Yeah, they really are, because they don't want it to backfire on them. But I think it actually backfires long term when you sell someone a bag of goods and then they get there and it's not what you thought it would be.
Yeah.
I would rather you tell me like, this is what it's going to be. And I know, kind of like to my previous example, when I reached out to this person on LinkedIn, I knew that I was coming in and I was going to have like a problem coworker. And so I knew what I was getting into. It wasn't a surprise when I showed up.
It can be so scary, though, to be honest about the things that are not going great, especially like I think a year or two ago when we were in that really tight labor market where it was like super hard to hire people. I think like every person was thinking like, how do I make my opportunity the best opportunity? And now I think we're in a little bit of a different situation where there are more people who are looking, but that I just don't want those people to be taken advantage of. And my thought there is like, you got to be honest in the interview process if the culture is potentially has some downsides.
And there's always a way to talk about it. Like, there is a way to say like, hey, we are not in hyper growth phase, or the areas of opportunity might be around communication or process improvement. To just say it. And that way the person knows, because maybe this is the person that can fix it. You know what I mean? Like, even the mind frame, like maybe this is the person that can come in and improve all the project management if you just tell them the truth.
Yeah, that's really still hard.